On today's show, we make a temperature tower using Cura, so stick around. Hey, welcome to the show. My name's Richard Cleveland. If we haven't met before, I am your host here 3 times a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on the First Layer. And every Wednesday, as you know, this is a pre-recorded show, so this is where I get a chance to iron out all the kinks. So on today's show, as I said in the teaser, we're going to show you how to make a temperature tower to test your filament and a little capabilities of your printer as well. And we're going to use Cura to do it. What we have to do first is head over to the computer and check out what we have to do to make this temperature tower print and get some results. So let's head over to the computer. All right, so we're over here at Cura on the computer now, and we have our temperature tower loaded. So what we want to do now is we want to be able to change those temperatures without having to do it all in G-code. And although the Cura software is a little bit more complicated than the Simplify 3D software, which we're going to cover at a little bit of a later date, right now we just want to start with Cura because that's what software comes with. I'm going to say probably about 85% of the machines on the market today. So you can see here, based on the temperature tower that we have, we've got bridging. We also have, it's starting at 240 degrees and going up to 190 degrees. Now, when this bridging stops, that's where we want that next temperature to take place. Now, in Cura, if you've turned on the expert or switch to full settings, which is what you should do here under the expert tab, you're going to see that you have 3 tabs open. One says basic. This is the basic information based on the quality, the infill, and in our fill density right now doesn't have to be anything. We can actually take that and go right down to 0, or we can go right up to, actually let's take that down to 0. And now, oh, I guess it doesn't like us. Oh, maybe it does like us going to 0. Can we go to 0? Yes, we can. So we've got no infill inside this temperature tower because we really don't need it. You can see we have a time of 1 hour, 12 minutes is what it's going to take to print that, to give us, help us find the best temperature. Now, how do you go about changing the temperature? Well, we know that with this particular model, your temperature will change at every 5 millimeters. So when you are in the software and you've looked at the instructions, there's a little instruction page that comes in with this file. And this was downloaded from Thingiverse. We'll have a link for it down below. I like this temperature tower because it does a couple of things. If we spin it around, you can see that we've got kind of different angles here. It allows us to look at the bridging as well. How well is the bridging going to do? And so on. So it's not a very big piece. It's actually quite a small one, but let's get into it. So where we want to go now is to the plugins tab. And you're going to see 2 plugins that automatically load with every version of Cura. And the first one is pause at height. Now, we don't need pause at height. What we want to do is we want to tweak at Z. So we're going to click on the tweak at Z, and then you see this little down arrow right here, or this V. You're going to click it once. And now it says change printing parameters at a given height. So Z height to tweak at 5 millimeters. So we're going to change that. That'll be our first change. And we will now go down to, we can use layers if we want to. Number of layers used for the change is only 1. We want to make sure that we have, I'm going to see if I can open this up so you guys can see this a little better. Tweak value and keep it for the rest. Now, we don't want to tweak every single layer. We just want to do them in different increments. So our new temperature, when we hit 5 millimeters is going to be 235 degrees. And that's all we need to know. We're going to keep our fan at 255 because we want that fan constantly blowing. And we're going to add a new one of these tweaks at Z every level. So this is where it kind of gets a little tedious. It's a little easier to do this in Simplify 3D, but for now, we're going to do it just like we see here. And next one we're going to go to is tweak at 10 millimeters. So we're going to change that to 10. Our next temperature is going to be 230. And we're going to keep that fan speed at 255. We just want to make sure that we've got that fan speed. So then we're going to add another one. And this is going to go on as we continue to go about changing the temperatures. Now, again, we're going to go to the heat temperature. And the heat temperature is going to be, in this case, our last one was 230, so this will be 225. And again, 255, we want that fan on. We're going to go to the next one. And did we change that? 15, 20, now we're at 20. So I'm going to change that to 20. And that's going to be 220. It helps if you write this down on a little piece of paper as well as you're doing this. Because if you don't, you could get lost fairly quickly. So we're at 20. Next one is going to be 25. And that will be temperature 215. And make sure that we've got that fan on. And you can see that our time isn't changing. It's still going to take an hour and 12 minutes to do this. And all we have to do is just go back and look at the last one we did. So now we're going to go at 30. And that is going to be 210. Now you're probably asking yourself, hey, Rich, why are you starting at 240 when PLA doesn't need to be printed at 240? And you're absolutely right about that. It does not need to be printed at 240. It does, however, allow you to see what is the best temperature for you based on the environment in your home or wherever you have your printer. If your room's a little too cool, you may want to up the temperature a little bit so it doesn't cool too fast and start to shrink on you. So line 35, that's going to be 205. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back here and just make sure that I've got that right. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And it looks like we've got 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35. Yep. There, we're in the right ballpark. And we're just going to keep adding this tweak until 0 till we get to the very last one. So our next one is 40 millimeters. We're going to change that temperature to 200. And we're going to go 255 here. We're going to add another one at 45. This one is going to be temperature. Now, bear in mind, you do need to put this under new extruder 1 temp, not new extruder 2 temp. You only have one extruder on your machine for the most part. Some people have more than one, other people don't. So now we're going to go 195 here, 255, and one more it looks like we have to do at 50 millimeters. And if you wanted to do this the hard way, I suppose you could go back and you could say, okay, I want this to tweak at a specific layer number. I just find this to be much easier doing it this way. So our next one is going to go down to 190, and that is our last temp, and 255 is the result of that. So let's go back to our basic here, and we want to just make sure that our bed temperature is, well, right now it's wrong. We want to make sure that that is 60 and that our first temperature is 240. So we've changed that, so we know now that our speed and temperature, our printing temperature is going to be 240, and our bed temperature is going to be 60. Okay, that bed temperature is not going to change. If you leave it blank in the plugin section, it will go by whatever the default is, just so you know. All right, so we don't need any support material. We don't need any type of adhesion. Just going to have a quick look over here. We want to make sure that we enable the cooling fan, which is what we want. And if you see this little box with the 3 little periods in it, if you open that up, you can see the percentage of where you want the fan to start. And right now, the fan is going to start at 0.5 millimeters. So it's going to lay down the first layer, get it down nice and easy for us. Our nozzle size is 0.4 in this case. And now we are going to get ready, send this over. We can save it, save the toolpath to our SD card, send this to our 3D printer, and that's all that we need to do. Once you see this done and finished, then you can do the temperature. You can see another temperature tower coming, or that you can watch the temperature tower print. It only takes 1 hour and 12 minutes according to Cura. Don't be one of those people who sits there and goes, okay, it's only supposed to take 1 hour and 12 minutes. That is never correct. This, I don't know how they estimate or what algorithm that they use, but no slicer have I found yet gives me an accurate reading as to how long this is going to take to print. So let's get back over to the printer and we'll get this started. Okay, now that our temperature tower is all done, what we're going to do is we're going to have a look at it. I'm just going to go to the overhead camera here real quick, and you can see we've got our temperature tower in hand, and we've got our subscribe sign in the background there. And we started at 240 degrees and we went all the way to 190 degrees. Every 5 millimeters, as we explained when we were setting up Cura, is where we made that temperature change. So once it did the bridging, and if we look here at the bridging, we can see that the bridging's actually not too bad. It's a little sporadic and it starts to get better, and where it really starts to get better is right around 215, and then it continues to get better to 200 and 195 and 190. Now, when I look at this in certain light, I don't know how well that's coming out. I want to see if I can get a little better light on it. You can see that the very top of this actually didn't do too bad at 190 degrees. Now, this is completely hollow, so we have no infill, and we put no infill in this particular temperature tower. We have a little bit of sagging at 195. Our numbers look fairly crisp. But I'm going to say, based on this temperature tower, my My best temperature is going to be right in that 200 range. So we're looking at a couple of things here. We're looking at the layers. We can see they're a little wider apart here than they are right here. This was done at a 0.2 millimeter layer height as we set up in Cura. And we're going to go around to the side here and we're going to just have a look and see exactly how sharp those edges are. And the sharpest edge with the least amount of filament on it is right here at 195. So I look at the bridging in 195 and it looks really solid. I look here at the side, I can see I don't have a lot of ringing. I have a little bit, but that's, you know, that's Y ringing, and we can take care of that by a couple of adjustments to our printer or in our G code. So 195, somewhere between 200 and 195, I'm going to say is the best for this particular PLA. And this is, the PLA that we're using is the Mama Rubat Black. And their print temperature is 180 to 215. So we didn't get quite down to 180, but it's not a bad PLA. It works out really well. This is not the Spool 3D PLA, but Spool 3D is thinking about carrying this brand of PLA as an alternative. So having a look at that, I would say somewhere between 200 and 195, and I can dial that in as I go along in my temperature tower. So that's all there is to doing a temperature tower. Record the results, hold on to that little tower, maybe put it on a shelf or in one of your baskets that you created for your empty spool, and just hold on to it. Maybe make some notes, put a piece of tape on it, like right here along the side, put a piece of tape and write some notes on there, and then you'll know the next time you're using that particular brand or any brand of PLA for that matter, you'll have some notes right there, and you won't have to guess what you're going to set your temperatures at. That should do based on the information that you've gathered from this temperature tower. Now, I want to thank Spool 3D, spool3d.ca. Print it right, print it with spool3d.ca. They've got everything you need from printers to filaments and parts for your brand of printer. So any brand of printer, they've got what you probably need, including all different kinds of build surfaces. So check them out today at spool3d.ca. Print it right, print it with Spool 3D. Now, I also want to thank our Patreon subscribers and our Buy Me a Coffee subscribers. You guys are doing an amazing job. Thank you very much. If you'd like to support the show, as you know, Spool 3D gives us this space to use, and we get filament from time to time to use from them as well, but the overhead costs come out of my pocket for the most part. And if you guys would like to help to support the show and get us out to different events, like we've got the Maker Fair coming up in Saskatoon in May. We are going to be at the Calgary Comic and Entertainment Expo inside the Spool 3D booth. And then we've got Maker Fair here in Calgary in October. So we're going to try and cover all those as well. You can become a Patreon by going to patreon.com/thefirstlayer. You can sign up there, and your contribution goes a long way. And just so you guys know, we are doing the brick campaign. As you can see back here, we've got Graham Fortledge's brick all set up. And the brick campaign, what that is, anybody who's contributed to the show or continues to contribute to the show, either through Buy Me a Coffee at buymeacoffee.com/thefirstlayer, or through Patreon, we are going to make a brick for you, and we're going to start to fill this wall with bricks that have your name on it. So there you go. One incentive for you to maybe try and support the show. If you've got any suggestions for the show, you can always send me an email at richard@thefirstlayer.com, or you can send something into the show if you'd like to send us something. Maybe you want to do a little video of your makerspace and send it in to us. We'd be happy to put it on the air. And now, if you want to send something to the show for me to either review, have a look at, or just something to open on our Mail Mondays, then you can send that to this address right down here. And that should be up on the screen momentarily. And it's also down in the show notes as well. So Frank's not here with me on Wednesday, so I'm all by myself, so I pre-record this show. I kind of cheat a little bit. I want to thank again Frank for all the work that he does, and I wish him all the luck in the world. He might be starting a brand new job as a graphic designer for a company very soon, and we may have somebody new come in and run the board for us on Mondays and Fridays. So until I see you again on Wednesday, or Friday, not Wednesday. See you again on Friday. We're going to do our live stream at 1:30 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. I did have a question about what time would this show be on in South Africa? Well, it's going to be on at 9:30 in South Africa. I looked that up today. So there you go. You guys have yourselves a great day. Check us out online. Make sure you hit that subscribe button and hit that notification bell right beside that button. And you will get notified every time that we do a live stream or we go on and put up a brand new episode. So there you go. You guys have yourselves a great day. I'm going to see you again on Friday. Until then, keep printing.